George Soros is a financial mercenary with a history, and today he has made an open declaration of war against India. He wants to subvert Indian democracy. He's pumping money, he's funneling propaganda, he's putting in billions, ladies and gentlemen, and most unfortunately I have to share with you that he's funding some people who call themselves academics and some people who call themselves journalists. Ladies and gentlemen, it is us on one side and the Soros gang on the other. Let's debate.
American short seller George Soros has now spoken on the Hindenburg report.
Modi and business tycoon Adani are close allies. Their fate is intertwined. Adani Enterprises tried to raise funds in the stock market but failed. Adani is accused of stock manipulation and his stock collapsed like a house of cards. Modi is silent on the subject, but he will have to answer questions from foreign investors and in Parliament.
Soros has admitted to having a regime change agenda.
This will significantly weaken Modi's stranglehold on India's federal government and open the door to push for much-needed institutional reforms. I may be naive, but I expect a democratic revival in India.
Interestingly, just 4 months ago, Soros sent his India man to walk shoulder to shoulder with Rahul Gandhi. The intent is to subvert Indian democracy.
Nationalism, far from being reversed, made further headway. The biggest and most frightening setback occurred in India, where the democratically elected Narendra Modi created a Hindu nationalist state.
And there is nothing altruistic about the disinformation war unleashed.
I think that I've been blamed for everything. I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
A quick search will tell you how Soros committed $1 billion to fight nationalists.
An international entrepreneur who hedges bets against many countries has now declared his ill intentions to intervene in the democratic processes of India, that he has pronounced funding of over $1 billion, particularly to target leaders like Prime Minister Modi, is significant.
And it is all falling in place now. Every attempt to cause anarchy in India traces back to the global financial mercenary
group and the ecosystem which is amplified here in India by political parties. Let's look at them one by one. The Adani-Hindenburg model. George Soros is heard saying Modi's stranglehold on India will weaken. He's hoping for that. He's banking on that. And what does the Vadra Congress do? They are raising it in Parliament, echoing what George Soros has been saying that Modi is equal to Adani. Now, let's look at how Soros-funded media groups in India have been hoping that the Adani issue is capitalized by the opposition to gain a foothold over the government. Now, let's look at the other issues where they've played a direct role. Pegasus, Soros-sponsored portals were the first ones to put out the Pegasus report, and then it was used by the Vadra Congress to disrupt parliamentary proceedings for months. And then you had the role of the ecosystem where Soros-linked groups awarded those who then went on to release the Pegasus story. Direct role there. Two issues, Adani, Hindenburg, Pegasus, and now let's show you one more. Rafale. George Soros-linked groups filed complaints against the deal. So they were the original complainants in the deal. Vadra Congress led their entire election campaign saying Rafale, Rafale, Rafale. And then here's what happens. Members of Soros-funded IPI published crop pictures of Parikar's notes. So there was an ecosystem working in the background to create a noise around it. Similarly, in the farmers' protest issue, Soros Foundation Advisory Board member heard saying farmers are creating history directly, also hinting at the kind of funds they're given to many Sikh groups who are at the forefront of this movement outside of India as well. Now, let's look at the Soros anarchy model. With nationalism, he's got a problem. He's set aside $1 billion of funds to fight nationalists and nationalist parties. Now, he says Prime Minister Modi is creating a Hindu nationalist regime. Now, the Vadra Congress has been using that narrative in all their election campaigns, and that's their primary card against the BJP. And the Vadra Congress, along with the Soros ecosystem, that is organizations getting grants from Soros, are trying to build this narrative that there is Islamophobia in India. So it's clear that every time there's been a crisis in India, the CAA or the farmers' protests, Rafale, Pegasus to Adani, there is a direct or indirect role of Soros. He's been the funder-in-chief of chaos.
Truth about Soros is clear. A man Hungary passed a law against. A man whose foundations are banned in Russia. A man whose history is far from clean. It's now time to probe Soros' hand behind the Tukde Tukde gang. Let's debate.